So a little about me. Just a very regular girl, not normally. Um, I didn't have a very adventurous childhood. Just pretty much just that kind of normal, very quiet, in fact. Now, my mom even says to me that she's surprised that I'm always on TV and talking everywhere. And when I was young, I was always in my room, always keeping quiet and things like that. So how come I'm now like this? Even my 40th birthday last year, she still said it when she was giving her speech that she can't believe that this very quiet girl is a girl that has so much to say to the world. So it just tells us that so many things, anything can change at any point in time. But if you ask me why I was quiet, I can't even answer you. I lived in Kaduna, I lived in the north for most of my life. And when I was secondary school, I went to Queen's College, Yaba, Lagos. Um, and it was amazing. It was an amazing time. I was a good girl, always one of the first three in class. I didn't bail out. I didn't have boyfriends. Very boring. No kind of, nothing special. At 17, I was sent to the UK to do my A levels. I was supposed to do medicine, but I changed my mind. And whilst I did my A levels, I'd been a sheltered child. But when I did my A levels, I think I opened IABs and like, can life really be like this? Ah, so no mommy, no daddy. I can go out, come back anytime I like, do anything I want. Your life was really, really good. So obviously, the first person that said, will you be my girlfriend, became my boyfriend because I've never had boyfriend. I've never had anything but Valentine before. Nothing special about my life. So that was how it went. I tried all sorts of things. I went to different kind of places. I made new friends. I enjoyed university life, and life was just good. But when I was doing my master's, I did a master's in business administration. And even before then, I think I started business when I was 5 years old, or maybe between, yeah, I think about 5 years old when I started business. And what was the first business that I started? I used to steal white stone from our aquarium because when I took it to school once, my friends really, really liked it. So I would just take it and bag it up, and I used to sell it for 50 kobo and I used to buy it. So that was the first business I started. And one day my mother just wondered, what's happening to all the stones in the aquarium? They are like this empty, reaching you can pretty much see the bottom of the aquarium now. And that was it. I told her I used to go and sell it at 50 kobo, and they were like, they used to call me Osoma Low or something like that, which essentially, according to her, is just someone that really, that is very entrepreneurial, can sell anything and make money. And why do I tell that story today? I tell that story today because I've done many businesses. I've put my hands into many, many things over the years, and I have no regrets. I've sold clothes. I've had an online shop on eBay. I've baked cakes. I've done children's parties. I've sold party bags. I've learned decorating. I've done balloon modeling. I've done as part of the children's parties, hiring bouncy castles, hiring anything children's parties. I have done so many things. And in doing all those things, I tell you one thing, there are no regrets because you keep on learning skills, you keep on learning things, and you learn and then you do. And I've also pioneered in my own circle of influence. Like I remember when I started the children's party business, it was with party bags and it was posh party bags, party packs. And we used to put very exclusive things in the party packs and people really liked it. However, when I wanted to expand, I started doing the popcorn and candy floss. But we did it in such a grand way. I used to work in the bank, and I used to be a contractor. I had access to funds. So we used to arrive very nicely. We will come with a Range Rover with the candy floss and everything. So what would normally not have looked good started to look good, and people started doing that business. It's all in the package. It's all in the packaging. As you see in Nigeria now, someone that's selling kuli kuli now, when they package it, you will not even know it's kuli kuli. When they just put it in those nice bags, it's just looking so good. So your branding and your packaging is very, very important, which I will still get to when it comes to time when I'm talking about education and teachers, because I am a teacher. I'm an educator. I'm an edupreneur. All the money I make from education. I'm from the education sector. Even though people say teachers are poor, their reward is in heaven, I am not convinced. I'm convinced that the teacher's reward is on earth and also in heaven. So when I was in the UK, I came to Nigeria. I came to Lagos in 2012. And in 2011, opened the school in 2012. The school was opened 7th of February 2012. On the 1st of April 2012, less than 6 weeks after we opened the school, we had an armed robbery. We were very ignorant of many things that were happening in Lagos. We didn't have a barbed wire. We were living in Ikoyi. We just assumed it's close to looking like Jan now. What can happen? So we didn't even think what can happen. We didn't think anything. Let's just be honest. We didn't think anything. We just felt we were in a safe environment. Sometimes our gates would not even be shut closed with a padlock or anything. We didn't have those barbed wires. We didn't have dogs and all the things that we have put in place today. We didn't have it. But that day, 1st of April, it was like April Fool's Day indeed. We had armed robbers. They came to our home and we were robbed. Everything that we worked hard for and brought to the UK was pretty much stolen in one night.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, now what? And it was as clear as daylight. Now God. It was just God. God was saying, when you came, because when I was coming, two of my sisters had moved back. That said, when you're coming, bring this, bring that, bring that. When you're coming to Lagos, we had really packaged ourselves, arranged ourselves to, arrange ourselves that nothing's going to happen. What's that can happen? But God was telling us at that time that we had put our trust in the things and the material things that we had. And in one night, it was gone. So what are you going to rely on? And that is why we must know our why. We must have our why. If we didn't know the reason why we came to Nigeria, then we would have gone back shortly after that time, because our home is still there. Even my boss, when I was leaving, was saying, Ade, how can you be leaving the project at this time when we're making so much money? Are you out of your mind? So he said, if you're playing with kids and it doesn't work out, just give me a call. So it was still a good time to have called him and got my job back anyway. And it was pretty well connected. Even if I didn't get it in the same organization, I'll still get it somewhere else. So I could have gone to the UK. They didn't deport us. We have our passports. So there was nothing that was stopping us. But we knew our why. And we had only got landed. We hadn't done what we came here to do. So we say that it was frightening, very, very frightening for me to even sleep at night, If I hear anything, I'll just assume it's armed robbers. I'll assume armed robbers. A couple of months later, my husband had apparently been hemorrhaging in his head because he was badly beaten during the robbery. And then, so he landed in hospital. We had to rush him. That time there was a strike in Lagos. Doctors were on strike. We had to rush to Ibadan. I didn't even want to go. Doctor was like, Madam, I know you can do the effort to take him to London, but this man, the state that he's in, he cannot even make it. So try everything, he needs to die if he doesn't operate on this. So they had to have that night, we had to rush him to Ibadan, which I had never been to. I can't recollect anyway, even if I have been there. And they had to have 2 borehole surgeries in his head. And it was such a traumatic time, almost 2 weeks of our lives. He had this surgery, he lost his memory. There's so many things, very, very challenging time of our life. So he was really out of service for like 18 months of his life because he had to recuperate from everything that had happened to him. He became anorexic. So at that time, I was just saying to myself that, thank God that I'm even working. Because at that time, I just thought to myself, and I tell women when I speak to women that if you're one of those women that was not working and you're totally reliant on your husband, we want our husbands to live, and by the grace of God, they will live. But we must understand that as women, we are called to, first of all, be a woman that is self-sufficient. And then we now can be wives, it's not mandatory. And then we then become mothers. But the first thing we must know that we are first of all women. We are first of all women, and we can write our story as women. This was how my journey started. I couldn't sleep at night. I started writing. I used to write about my experience. I used to tell people, because the people that set us up were actually people that we had hired and had been there for years. They were not even new. They had been there even before we came from the UK. So we found out they were part of a very serious criminal gang. And even when they caught them, they were like, forget about it, because even if you go and meet all these people, you are not going to be able to walk or even jog because until they get their own back. So this was how we had to let go of the whole thing. And then I started to write about my experience. I started to tell people, if you want to hire somebody, these are the checks that you should do. I started putting on my website, these are the checks that you should do, these are the things that you do. I was just writing them before I knew how many people were actually printing it out and using it for interviews. So that when you want to do a video of the person, know the voice, know their parents, check their phone, and I was doing the tips, just doing it that this will help. Because if we had done all these things, perhaps we wouldn't have. And this was how this thing took off. Before I knew how many TV stations were calling me and all this sort of. So I continued to do it. I continued to just write. And today we have the Parent Right group, which is on Facebook. Parent Right. I started that because from the school, I also noticed that a lot of people have domestic workers. Today, it's A that is the house help. Tomorrow is B, tomorrow is C, tomorrow is D. Some people even have it up to Z, and all those people are interacting with your children. they're going to have their own set of values from wherever they're coming from. And they will always be the ones interacting with your children. So what is it in the mix? So it's like cooking a pot of soup. You have all sorts of things, just pouring everything and that into that pot of soup. And that pot of soup is really your child. So I was telling people that they need to limit the interaction that they have with their children. As time went on, people just were just listening. I was always talking and people were listening. So with research, with training, with development, I realized that once we want to begin this our journey, we must focus on self. First of all, you start with you. How can you even become a good parent? You cannot even become a good parent if you don't fix yourself. You have to fix yourself. You have to be self-sufficient. Many women will go to school, they'll become doctors, engineers, whatever it is, but their parents will be telling them that they should go and marry a rich man. So what's the point? What's the point if the driving factor is to marry a rich man? What's the point of going to school? And then you get the job, but the husband will say, stay at home. Don't use all the degree and the skills that you had. So this was some of the ways that in our society and our culture, we suppress the woman from expressing herself. A woman that begins to earn even more than her husband, it becomes trouble, because they don't want the woman to earn. They don't want the woman. So when I started to realize all those sort of things from my group, I started to talk about the girl child, the woman, the girl child, started to talk about how they can empower themselves and add value. I was telling people that if I wasn't working and doing my own thing when my husband was down and out, what would have happened? What would have happened? My husband is very supportive of the things that I do. So what would have happened? That we should continue to do whatever it is that we can as women. And so we did. And so I continued this journey. The school opened. We continued. We didn't even tell the parents. It was a very, very tough time of our lives. Very, very challenging time. But we kept pushing and we kept pushing and we kept pushing. So eventually, the school has, it's a medium-sized school now, which has grown. But so many lessons have come out of it. So many lessons have come out of it. And what I will tell people is that as you journey along in life, you develop yourself. As you develop yourself, do not leave your partner behind, and your partner should not leave you behind. Because after a while, you will now become incompatible. If you're not growing, you will become incompatible. If you're always going for this training course. If you notice, a lot of men, they go for training, their banks or whatever organization will send them for training. And next thing they will be going out with their girlfriend, with the secretary as their girlfriend, because the wife is still at home and she's not doing anything. She has not grown, she has not changed. They can't have intellectual conversations with each other anymore. Things have just changed. They're not longer on that same wavelength. That's why when you're growing, you grow along with your children, you grow along with everybody around you, even your friends. As long as they are willing to grow with you, you grow with them. So I always tell people that they should continue to do all these things. And as you grow, you'll find that in life, you will lose friends. You will really, really lose friends. As I was going on my journey, I found out that the people that I expected to be very, very close to me and very, very supportive to me, so some girls that I went to school with, and they're not ones that they will not even support you. Not all of them, but you will find that they're the ones that give you trouble. They're the one that will price, when they come, they will want to price your goods and services. They want to be the one that will not pay off front. They want to pay 10 times. So you find that women are not necessarily very supportive. And that's why when they did the black and white challenge, I questioned the black and white challenge and said, what is this black and white challenge about? You cannot support me by putting a picture up. It doesn't make any sense to me. You have to support me by telling people about my business, by buying from me, doing something, promoting me, helping me collaborate, networking me to other people, announcing me. You can't put a picture up and say you're supporting myself. Anyway, eventually when we did our research, we found out that it actually came from Turkey. It's nothing to do with supporting women. It was the injustice that was put upon women in Turkey. And that was how they were showing solidarity to each other. But of course, Nigeria will just jump on it and we'll make it a fashion statement and we'll just be doing whatever we wanted to do, which is quite sad because we don't really research a lot of things. And then you find that evil prevails when good people do nothing. I started to see that a lot of children are abused in their homes. They're physically abused, they're sexually abused, they're verbally abused. And then we find that a lot of it happens even by the parents. Well, whilst they may not have known, if they know better, they will do better. So I keep telling people, when they say, oh, my parents beat me, I turned out all right. I tell them, parents beat you and you turned out all right. What is the definition of all right? Because having a job and a car, a husband or a wife, does not mean that you turned out all right. How are you coping today internally? What are those addictions that you have? So social media, being on social media all the time, insecurities that you may have, addictions that you may have. Is it that you're hooked on pornography? Is it that you're hooked on masturbation? Is it that you're hooked on drugs? Is it that What is it that you're doing behind the scenes? Let us know. Then we will know whether you turned out all right.
All right, really.
That all right has nothing to do with the job that you have. So a lot of people have been abused and it affects them psychologically and emotionally. Over the last 2 days, we found that this little boy, that the mother put him on social media, where he was telling the mother to calm down, calm down, calm down. It went viral. But I still spoke today on radio and I was saying that this is not right. And for the governor to talk about it, it's not right. It's endorsing abuse, because this child is going to grow up. That video is going to be there forever. His wife is going to see the video. His children and grandchildren are going to see the video. His friends are going to see the video that happened. Does he have to be embarrassed and humiliated online publicly? I do not think so. But that's just my own perspective. My perspectives are usually very, very unpopular, which is also very fine. So I find that parenting in Nigeria, I started to look at parenting in Nigeria when I came. I found out that a lot of people are very reliant on domestic workers. Everybody has house girl. So we even have 3, 4 house girl for child A, house girl for child B, house girl for child C, house girl for, all sorts of things. So I started to look into parenting again. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of training as well, so that I can help the children in my school and also the children all around that I can, in my circle of influence, because I believe that the parent has to be present and not just be giving presents. And you find that house girl will take the children to school, back them to school, the parents will leave before they wake up, the parents will come back after they are sleeping. The interaction between parent and child, not really there. And it's not healthy. And that is why we're getting the results that we're getting now. So people say, oh, you spare the rod, you spoil the child. The rod of correction drives whatever away from the foolishness, away from the child. And I decided to research the rod of correction. Twice it was said the rod in the book of Proverbs. Hyperbole, like an exaggeration. Because even in the Bible it says, a rebellious child should be stoned to death. Shall we now stone our children to death? In the book of Deuteronomy. But people are not researching. They are doing a quick fix, what quickly works for them. So they would rather smack the child so that they can just have some peace. But you don't know the bridges that you're building. You don't know the psychological disorder that you're causing, the trauma. Some of them don't perform very well at work because they're suffering from the abuse that you have put upon them. Some of them, they don't even become great spouses. Some of them are not even performing very well. All sorts of things. That's why I wrote the book 101 Tips to Curb the Beating and Shouting. Somebody wrote me and said from my book that I said some of those children, when they've been beaten, they actually enjoy the beating and they actually attribute it to a sexual desire. Check it online. Yes, beating children can also cause things like that. It can actually cause perversion. After a while, they'll say it starts sweeting them. Some children, you want to beat them, they'll go and bring the cane and put their hand out. That's not the worst you can do. Okay, beat me and let's get on with it. So I started to say, you know what? We have to start talking about mental, emotional, psychological, sexual, verbal, all sorts of abuse. Do we really need to be hitting these children to get the results? We don't. So how do we now do? What should we now do? Okay, can we look into the personality type of the parents and the child and see how compatible they are? If you know a child's personality type, if you know their dominant traits, you know how they behave, you know their love languages. If a child, for example, is very social and you take a child, you say you're not going to go to that birthday party if you do X and Y. Will it be a motivating factor because that child actually wants to go to that birthday party? It means so much to that child. Now, some people, they put the child in naughty corner. Some children, you put them in a naughty corner and they will become creative instantly. They will be so happy to be in the naughty corner because that is who they are. They don't want all the crowd. So that's why you must know your unique child. You must know the composition of your child. What makes up your child? What are those things that your child will not like if it's taken away from them? And that is how you should create the disciplinary measure for your child. That is what you should look at to discipline your child, because hitting your child is not necessarily the answer. So this was how my journey of parenting continued. Education as well. So how did I craft the education? I guess you should see that the challenges in the education sector, we would apply for we will put an advert out. We would have like 100 CVs. You can't even pick one. Even if you pick 1, 2, or 3, you call them in, it's a whole different ballgame. You find that the teachers have to be retrained. They haven't been taught very well there's no finishing, So you have to continue to train and retrain. Staff turnover was high when I came because I didn't understand the Nigerian system. So I didn't think that human beings were like that. So somebody will come and their mouth is smelling. They come for an interview with flowery skirts and they go or open sandals. I didn't get it. But when I realized that it was not a one-off, it was a recurring kind of thing, I now realized that, oh, this was a problem that needed to be solved. So I said, okay, let me start solving it. I started to talk about it online. I started to do training, some paid, some free. I was talking about it online. I did a lot of my work has been online because I didn't live in Lagos. I didn't have a big network as at the time. It's only now that I spent so much time in Lagos. I think about 8 years now in Lagos, and I've now made acquaintances, mostly acquaintances online and on offline as well. So I just continued the training. I started to collaborate with educators. I started to talk. I started to train. I started to do training courses, short courses, just to help people, coaching parents as well, coaching educators, just doing my own bits. I was very keen on creating my own quota in the Nigerian education sector. And they say when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. As I was doing it, people were calling me for one thing or the other. I just know that if your Lord has called you to something, nobody can take it away from you. Sure. People will tell you that, oh, you're not the one that's supposed to do it. You are enough. I keep telling women, you are enough. Some people want you to give you permission. I am the coach, I'm the pastor, I'm the imam, I'm the this or that. And I keep telling them, no, 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 no. You are enough. You don't need permission for anybody to be great. When I wrote my first book, a lot of people thought I would come and beg them so that because they have a big following to buy them. I don't have a copy of that book. The copy of the book that I have today is the one somebody bought for me from England, from Amazon. I don't have a copy. It was completely sold out to the glory of God. Completely sold out. I don't have books gathering dust anyway. Did I get permission from anybody? No, I just did it. Sometimes we wait for somebody to tell us that it's okay to do it. Sometimes we tell people that it's enough. They want us to they want to be the one in charge. Say, oh, you cannot write a book. They want to endorse you, for lack of a better word. They want to endorse you. But God has already endorsed you. He has already called you to greater things. He's called you to a lot more. Even when they tell you, they'll say, oh, it's not your voice that should be heard. People have been doing it before you. I can remember when I went to some practices in the school. Even I will interview some teachers and they were working with us and they will tell us that, oh, that's not how we used to do it in our former school. And in my heart, I will know that this is what should be done. But until I was brave enough to just say, you know what, damn the consequences. This is what I believe in my heart that is right and I'm going to do for these children. And now I'm teaching those things to other people. Yesterday, I was called to talk about mindfulness, talk about being calm, how you can work with a child to make them mindful. And you also be mindful. You know, children have been at home, teachers have been at home, and now we're saying that they're going to go back to school and SS3 to go back to school. And I think it's going to go back to school and start teaching and bridging the gap. How does the child feel? Did the child lose a parent or a relative? Has the child been abused at home? The teachers have not been paid for months. Are we sensitive to those factors? Or we just want it to be, go back to work, go back to work. You know, schools are open now, go back. Is that what we really want to do? I don't think that should be the case. I don't think that's what we should do. We should be mindful. We should look at people's mental and emotional well-being to make sure that they're stable enough, because people are struggling at this time. We can't just assume that everybody that has a nice looking wig and is looking fine like an academic tonight and the person all right, or looking like a person is okay. You don't know the demons, the challenges, the baggage that the person is carrying. So we must be sensitive to each other. And I think being sensitive to people's needs and people's being sensitive, and even being sensitive, it didn't happen overnight. It was a journey I also went through with training as well, to be able to identify and able to see through people and know that, you know what, this is a scam. This person is not all right. Let me reach out to this person and ask, what is the matter? Sometimes when you see people doing some things online, they are doing it out of frustration. They are doing it because they are not happy. They're not in their happy place. Can you call them and reach out and say, how are you doing? So in doing all those things, I've started to build a community of people that love me, that like me, that trust me with the things that I do. And so they refer me, they refer the school, they refer all our products, all our services. So that's how we were able to craft and design a story, a journey for myself in Nigeria, having not been in Lagos for so many years. So I'm conscious of the fact that it's now 8:45. You might have some questions for me, but that has been the journey in short.
Wow. This is so amazing. You said in short.
Yeah, it's in short because so many things happen along the way.
Wow.
So many things. Yes.
Wow, this has been awesome. I mean, like you said, you're just enough. You're
Yes.
just enough. Many persons has a lot of gifts locked up on the inside of them because they are waiting for somebody to endorse them.
Yes.
You are just enough. And then you said something that it's very, very, very profound. You mentioned that we're resuming now, or children are being called to resume, but how mindful are we
Yeah.
of the state of those children before you even the teachers, the educators that will be in charge of them, and all of those things? Wow, I've learned a lot of things just sitting there, sitting here listening to you. I've learned a whole lot. I'm an educator myself, but I tell you, I've learned a lot sitting down here and listening to you, and I'm sure my audience also have learned a lot listening to you. Wow, thank you very much, ma'am. Yeah, I want you to just give us some insight, give us some tips from your book, 101 tips to curbing the beating and the. I wanted to
Child.
give us. I want to get something from that, and I'm sure my audience too. Just give them a tip. The book is still available, but just give us some tip from it so that we can have
Yeah, I will
something
do that
to.
happily because I'm very
Yeah,
passionate about people not hitting children.
please go ahead.
One of the first few things that I said in the book is that people should understand that the child does not belong to them, that the
Good.
child belongs to God.
Mm,
If you give, if so for example, someone who gives you his child or his daughter, and maybe Donald Trump or Barack Obama, will you be beating that child every day?
mm,
You probably will not be beating that child except if you have a screw loose.
mm,
So if the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords should give you a child to look after, the
mm,
best way to look after that child is by beating the child.
mm.
No, that is not the way that we should go. So that's one of the first ways that I started to tell people in that book that you must understand that you are a custodian of that child. You must understand that there are other strategies. If you look and think about your triggers, start to write them down. When do you normally hit the children? And why do you hit the children? You will find that people do it when maybe they're hungry, they are broke, they just fought with their friend or their husband, they're just coming from work and they're stressed. You now see that those things have put you in a position where your energy levels are depleted, you are out of patience, or maybe you are rushing to school in the morning and the child is wasting time or not waking up on time, you just give that child one big slap or you are shouting. Look and know that there are triggers. When you know those triggers, then you can be conscious of it and say, oh, I better not smack this child because I'm hungry or tired or broke or got still
Hmm.
fighting my husband. It's got nothing to do with this child. Let me remove this child from my frustration in my life.
Hmm.
But when we think about stuff like that, then we know that it's not the right way to go. When we also understand that when we hit children, we instill fear into them. Like that video that we watched, when that lady was recording her child, the child was shocked and said, Mommy, are you recording me? He used the word video. Mommy, are you videoing me? We humiliate, we dehumanize, we make them little when we do that. How would you feel if you err and somebody believes that the best thing they should do to you is to hit you? I'm a product of no hitting, by the way. I was not hit as a child. I was not beaten as a child. And some people say if you don't hit a child, it will spoil foolishness. And I don't believe I'm a foolish woman. I don't believe I behave in a foolish way. I don't see any value that any beating will have done to my life. So I give God the glory.
Hmm.
My daddy was a general in the army. And a lot of people believe that the army people are very violent, very this and that.
Hmm.
But guess what? As gentle as a dove, he did,
Wow.
at least to us, at least to me, he didn't beat me. So we must know that we can control our temperament. So even if he was like that on the field or wherever it was in the barracks or wherever they went, at home, he was not like that. So we are capable of taking and assuming different temperaments at different times. We must be in control because somebody that cannot control themselves or control their anger, rather, is not in control of their being. That means
Hmm.
your anger is bigger than you, it is your
Hmm.
God. So you must be able to curb that anger. It's just too important. So I keep
Hmm.
telling people do whatever it is that you can to ensure that you have self-control over your life. So those are just a few of the things that I share in the book.
Wow, thank you so much. Self-control, even as parents.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. The book is out there. I'm sure once you search our social media handle, you would get it. Every parent needs to get that book, I tell you. Every parent who is passionate about raising good children should read that book. Yeah, so thank you for that. Now, I want to go into things for educators and other people for this season, low cost or no cost business that they can do, this season.
Okay, that's fine. A couple of weeks ago, I put out some material on my Instagram. So my Instagram is at Ronke Posh for anybody that wants to follow and find out that information. And what I did say there was that because we are losing teachers at this time, and we need educators at this time, we don't want them to just go and maybe be selling slippers or selling meat or selling gala, and then they don't come back to this. Because already as it is, we don't have enough good teachers. We need more teachers in the sector. So what are we going to do to retain our teachers? So I started to put pen to paper and think and share. And what I believed in my heart was that if we can use our intellectual property, if we can use our head, our brain, our sense to create products, whether physical or digital products, then we can, or services, then we can actually make money without leaving the sector. Even if when schools resume, we can still continue in that state without leaving the educational sector, because I want teachers to stay. I know it's hard. That is why I went out of my way to research and find out a few things that they can do. So I'll just read some of the things that I talked about. So I talked about people cleaning up their CV and their computer skills at this time. There are many schools that when this COVID happened, they were looking for people to do animation for them. So if you learn animation, for example, you can approach a school on a part-time basis and say, I can actually do some video lessons for you. So if it's numeracy or literacy or cultural or whatever, you can create a video and send it to them and say, on a part-time basis, I can be creating your videos for your school, put your logo on it, and you can send it to the children at home when they're doing their online lessons. So I said that is something that you can do. So if you can do animation, if you can edit videos as well. So on my social media as well, on on YouTube, I have tutorials on how to create do graphics. I have a few there, and I'm going to put another one about how to do simple editing of videos that people can use in the classroom. So I have material. I also have training on how to be a virtual assistant, because I believe at this time you can also be a virtual assistant from your home, because people are looking for people to help them organize and do stuff. In that video, I also said that there are sites that you can actually go to, and you can actually upload your CV or put a proposal there, and people will actually go and look for you on the sites. And you can actually work as a virtual assistant to people. You can be picking phones for a school. It just depends on credibility. And you start by volunteering so that people can know you, like you, trust you, and then somebody can refer you, because people will not put all their stuff. And as a virtual assistant, there's so many other things that you can do as a virtual. You can do proofreading, copywriting, depending on how good your English is. It's not only administrative stuff that you can do as a virtual assistant. So I mentioned that. Then I went on to talk about deliveries, all these bike men. Some of them, you can collaborate with them. You can get the customers and say you're running a delivery service, so you can share the money. So they will want to do the delivery, you get the contacts, and then you get some money in that way. So that was mentioned. How about digital marketing? A lot of schools don't know how to do their social media marketing very well. They don't know how to leave their digital footprint very well to represent them. How about managing their social media handles, their social media accounts for them? When they get inquiries on social media, you can actually respond back to them or follow up their inquiries for them. You can do it, and it can be a part-time basis. You can just say, okay, can I just work 10 hours a week for you for a certain amount? You can agree, and the money will be less, and people will be happy to pay less, because at this time, everybody is looking to pay less. So can you actually leverage on a particular skill or two, and you can have different clients and be making money in this way? So larger organizations may not need a small person to be doing something like that. But if you have a collective, if you have 5 schools that are paying 10K a week to be doing social media marketing for them, that's still something, isn't it? Or
Yeah.
Facebook ads, if you land Facebook ads. What else did I write on there? I wrote about set up an online group, e.g. on Telegram or WhatsApp, strictly for sales, an online marketplace. You can collaborate, make reference to it being services by teachers. It has to be tasty. Create a page, Facebook or Instagram handle, sponsor it. Details will be on my YouTube if you get so. And the gist is you can just have a marketplace. So you say teachers marketplace, for example, where everybody comes there and then you're selling one thing or the other. Because people have at this time they have things in their home they don't want to use, baby products they don't want to use again. What it is that you want to dispose of at this time that is in good condition, you will always find buyers. How about making disinfectant sprays and hand sanitizers and all those sort of things at this time? That's fast selling. And the mask, now I know the mask everywhere is the mask is. But then even though the masks are everywhere, the mask branded with the school logo, is it there?
Wow.
Can you do it for a school? Is it possible to do that? And the face shields, you just put the logo on it. You can do that at low cost and make some more money. How about reselling? You can resell products, maybe even if it's food stuff, you can resell it in your local community as well. If they know you, like you, and trust you. So you must be great at something. So you can create an ebook. At this time, I created that ebook, and people are buying the ebook almost every other day. They are buying books. You can write. You can build content for schools. You can do a small story book for children to read.
To
People will buy
read.
it, even if it's 500 naira. They will buy it. Sometimes you sell 10, it's still money. Do you know what I mean? You just keep pushing your material because we all have content. We're teachers.
Yeah.
So we all have one type of content or the other
Or the other.
out at this time. So don't assume that we don't have enough to do anything. So those are some of the things that I shared, and I know that there's so much more on my pages. People were also suggesting other ideas as to how what people can do at this time. But I believe that creativity and critical thinking, if we're able to implement those things, engage our critical thinking skills, we will be able to find solutions to our problems at this time. And I pray that the Lord will give us grace and help us to not think, but to just soar at this time, to make a lot of money at this time, and to be grateful when we look back upon the time of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Amen. Wow. 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 This has been so rich and full of a lot for everybody. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful, that people are being impacted right now. People's eyes are being opened with things that they were not looking at before. Thank you so much. I celebrate you. I celebrate everything about you, and I love you very dearly. And I declare that greater heights. I declare that greater heights for you in Jesus' name. Thank you so much. And thank you for all you are doing in the education sector. Thank you for all you are doing. And thanks for honoring this invitation. So you can drop in the comment section of the WhatsApp later the link to get the book and some of those things that you mentioned. You can drop in the WhatsApp session, drop the link there. In a comment section, I mean, the Facebook comment section, you can drop those links there for us, for people who will be interested in. I'm sure a lot of persons are interested already. So please drop it for us. Thank you so much, man. I want to appreciate you. I want to celebrate you. I want to say thank you for coming.
Have a wonderful season. Enjoy the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Wow, that was some great time.